Come on now, people. It is Saturday the 26th of March 2022, and everybody likes a good story, right? Well, you'll have to decide the story I'm going to tell you right here and now, if it's a good one or not, before I get into the meat of this audio. Yeah, and I always get accused. Usually it's the same one or two people that accuse me of cut the fluff and get to the stuff. Well, I'm going to tell you a little story first. We're going to have to go way back. Back in the day, back to when I graduated from high school, May 10th, 1973, from Brooklyn Center High School, Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Yep, true facts, people. Wouldn't lie to you about that. Yeah, I did graduate too, by the way. Don't let anybody tell you differently. Okay, so it was probably within a week. And I don't remember what our graduating class size was. It was either like 192 or it was like 292. We never could get the numbers that Osseo and Anoka Ramsey got. I mean, they'd graduate, 1,200 people. But nevertheless, pretty good sized graduating class. And out of that number, only two of us joined the service. Myself and, I'll mention his name, Kurt Bruns. Two out of that size graduating class. It wasn't popular back in the day. So here's what happens. You go down to your local recruiter, and after you go through the Armed Forces Examination Entrance Station, AFES, it was at Fort St. Paul Federal Building, as I recall. And after you stand on the blue line, walk on the red line and the green line, and go through all your physical and mental test batteries, they're sent back to your recruiter with a profile. And you have options. And one of the options... Now listen, I wanted to get into the Army and fly helicopters. How I ended up in the Navy is quite an unusual story, and we don't have time for that one. But that would be a good story, people. Someday I might tell you. Nevertheless, you have options. You can go in and deploy immediately for your boot camp, or you can exercise a program called DEP, Delta Echo Papa, Delayed Entry Program. Up to 6 months you can delay your report to boot camp, still get that counted as time for benefits, and usually it's a good way to guarantee a service school guarantee, is what I'm trying to say. So for some reason I decided, God, I wish I'd have been a hospital corpsman rather than a scope dope, but I ended up getting a school guarantee, and that means you, as long as you make the grade, the Navy will give you your school. If you bottom out, if you drop out, if you fail the grade, you're going out to the fleet probably as a goddamn deck ape. The guys that tie the ships up, paint the ship, the bulk labor. Okay, anyway, I'm running along on this, setting up my story. Sometime I turned 18 July of 1973. Yeah, the good news then, Minnesota changed the drinking law June 1st, 1973 from 21 to 18. I only had to wait 30 days, people. And I was in the bars, drinking heavily. Alright, nevertheless, I had a long track record, a lot of experience. I'm a veteran of drinking Tall Cool Crisp Millennium Budweisers. Okay, so anyway, sometime in that period between that and December of 73, a letter shows up at my parents' house, and my father gets a hold of me and says, hey, you better take care of this matter here. And I go, what the hell is it? It's a letter from the Selective Service, Draft Board Local 51, Robbinsdale, Minnesota. Yep, borders right along Brooklyn Center. Okay. I go, well, that's a bunch of bullshit because I'm already in. Well, he says, you'll learn that the right hand of the government doesn't know what the left hand's always doing, so you better just be safe. And so this one time I took the old man's advice, and I went down there to Local 51, and you walk into this room. It kind of looks like a classroom. You got a bunch of little desks sitting there that you can sit behind, and there is a, what would you call her? Probably a GS7 government employee, woman, frustrated housewife with a bad attitude. And I hand her the paper, and she looks up the file number or whatever it was on there. And she says, you didn't register on your 18th birthday. And I said, you are right. But the problem is, ma'am, I am in the U.S. Navy. She says, well, I'll tell you what you do, son. She hands me a blank paper with just lines on it. She says, take a seat over there and you write down, in your own words, why you failed to register for the draft when you were 18. I said, I argued with her a little bit more, and to make a long story short, a dude in another room comes walking out. He says, "What's the problem here? What's the calamity all about?" And I explained it to him, took the paper, handed it back to her, and says, "Anchor's away, boy. You can leave." And I did. Okay, now, why is that something I would tell you a story about today? Because, now I got to set this up. Yeah, bear with me, people. You know, I used to be on Facebook, not very long, and I can see the utility. Yeah, if you own a bar and you want to post events, hey, no doubt about it. But usually, come on, seriously, people. You know, Facebook, oh, here's a picture of me. Here's a picture of me taking a picture of me. Here's a picture of me petting my cat. Yeah, unbelievable. Okay, so I've got no time for this bluffing stuff. And I went to Gab. Let me tell you where I'm at on Gab right now, because I'm coming up on a year anniversary. Joined it about a year ago. I've got 17,900 Gabs postings and 797 followers. Man, I wish my YouTube channel looked like that. Now, you guys could be following my timeline, but I still run into you in the bars and out on the street, and I go, "Hey, have you got on Gab yet?" "Oh, no, not yet." "Have you got on Gab yet?" "Oh, no, I haven't got around to it yet." Down to the point where some of you said, "I ain't going on Gab." No way, no hell, no how. And I got to thinking, what could possibly be the reason for not getting on Gab? Hell, the federal government knows everything about you. And I'm going to tell you some people, once you've experienced the freedom of speech that you can have on Gab, you don't ever want to go back. And I'll get to that point here in just a quick second. But I've had some people tell me, no way am I going on GulfAlphaBravo.com. Not going to happen. That's a government drop. That's where they spy on their enemies. Really, people. So the best I've come up with, and I should have gone here first, went to the good book. Yeah, the one, you know, America's world's bestseller, the Holy Bible. Yeah, that's the one. Covered with dust on your coffee table. Yep. And I said, the answer's in here somewhere. And son of a bitch, there it was. In the book of John, chapter 20, verse 19. Now, I'm not going to read you that particular scripture because this is YouTube, people, and I don't trust YouTube. I'll give you a little clue. Every time someone reads that particular verse, John 20, verse 19, Murray's eyes sure light up. He loves that verse. It makes him sparkle. Okay, so that's got to be the reason. That's the only valid reason why people are not on Gab. All right, here we go to the stuff, and this is going to make it quick. This won't be as long a video as you think it is. Come on, I'm telling you a story. Bear with me. On Gab, I stumbled across a Twitter post. Now, I've never been on Twitter. Don't want to be on Twitter. Like I said, people, once you've experienced the freedoms, you don't want to go back to the enslavement and say, "Oh, I better watch what I say here. I'll get blocked. I'll get booted. I'll get banned." Not going to happen on Gab, people. Trust me on this one. So what pops up on my Twitter, holy smokes, my Gab timeline? A reproduced Twitter post from March 23rd. And here we go, people. It's from the Selective Service. Have you seen this one on your Facebook accounts? Those of you on Twitter? On March 23rd. Here we go. In the event of a draft, our agency would partner with FEMA to provide opportunities to conscientious objectors to ensure our nation keeps moving forward. Learn more about alternative service at sss.gov/conscientious. And, of course, they'll also inform you in a little info box that failure to register for the draft could net you a $250,000 fine and up to 5 years in prison. And, oh, by the way, if you counsel others on how to avoid or not register for Selective Service, the draft, you will succumb to those same penalties. You would be possibly prosecuted and looking at a $250,000 fine and up to 5 years in prison. How cool is that? The draft. Yeah, we had it when I was a kid, but they weren't taking any. They had this lottery system. Don't ask me all the particulars. I think they started doing the draft lottery in 1969, and you could find out what your number was. You know, there was 365 numbers because there's 365 days, and that's how they were going to take. You didn't want to be in the top 10, 1 through 10, because you knew your ass was going to go. In my time, back in the day, they were drawing, but they weren't calling anyone. Okay, so I didn't have to worry about the draft. I didn't have to worry about the draft anyway, because I was already in the late entry program. Nevertheless, now, why would Selective Service put that out as a Twitter feed? I don't get it. Are they telling you something? Are they preparing? Are they just, when's the last time you heard about the draft, people? When is the last time? And I guess Twitter is a major political forum. Why would they put that out? Just food for thought there, people. Now, this is what I wanted you to hear, because I've been harping about this. How many times have you heard me say, take your money, people? In fact, I'm going to run up there to Botno this morning here, after I'm done with the dogs. It's only 2:30 now. I can't leave here till 5:30 because they open at 6. Let's listen to this. I've told you, take your money, people. Buy stuff. Buy stuff you need. Buy stuff you use. Because shit may be going down. The imposter-in-chief occupying the White House, Joe Biden. Yeah, creepy Uncle Joe, with his good boy son, Hunter, was in Brussels, headquarters of NATO, and he was talking. Now here's what you want to hear, people. Pay attention, please.
Both talked about how we could increase and disseminate more rapidly food shortages. In addition to that, we talked about urging all the European countries and everyone else to end trade restrictions on sending limitations on sending food abroad.
Both talked about how we could increase and disseminate more rapidly food shortages.
Now,
what do you think of that, huh? Was that a Freudian slip? Was that part of the WEF? You'll own nothing, and you're gonna love it. We'll feed you some bugs, people. Some laboratory-created meat. You don't want to know how they do that. It's a pretty brutal process where they get the cell line to grow the meat in a petri dish. But was that a Freudian slip, really? Or were they talking about how do we increase the pressure on everyone, because everyone has to suffer equally? Yep, sanctions on Russia. Well, we're going to teach them. We're going to put it to Putin. All right, that was his Freudian slip. Now try this one. It's Joe Biden, creepy Uncle Joe, father of Hunter Biden, the good boy, at NATO, Brussels.
with regard to food shortage, yes, we did so talk about food shortages. And it's going to be real. The price of these sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia. It's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well.
You hear that, people? Yeah, we talked about food shortages, and it's going to be real. Not just for Russia. Nope, but for Europe and our country. Sad state of affairs, I'm telling you. But I have been telling you, haven't I? Haven't I been telling you for at least a couple of years now? Before it's too late, people. One more time. Once more around the mountain. Take your soon-to-be converted bank account numbers to Federal Reserve digital currency. Remember, about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, creepy Uncle Joe signed an executive order saying, Federal Reserve, you got 6 months, look into it. How do we go to using money on smartphones? Take what you got, people. Buy stuff. I suggest you buy food. Yeah, stuff that stores well. Stuff you eat. Don't buy stuff you don't like, because you won't eat it unless you're starving to death. And that could well be, because the imposter-in-chief occupying the White House told the world at NATO food shortages are going to be real. Get real, people. Guess what? It is 2:45. I got stuff to do.